Mention the 1981 Corvette to most car enthusiasts and watch them roll their eyes. One engine option, 190 horsepower, a speedometer that only went to 85 miles per hour. The malaise era at its worst. They are wrong. The 1981 Corvette was one of the most innovative American cars of its decade. It introduced technology that would define sports cars for the next 40 years. And almost nobody noticed because they were too busy complaining about the horsepower number. Start with what Chevrolet engineers actually accomplished that year. They developed the first fiberglass composite automotive spring ever used in a production car. This single rear leaf spring weighed 8 pounds. The steel multi-leaf spring it replaced weighed 44 pounds. That is a 36-pound reduction from one component. The spring could store 6 times more energy per unit of weight than steel. It eliminated interleaf friction that caused ride harshness. The Society of Plastic Engineers gave it their Grand Award. This technology became a Corvette trademark that continues today. Then there were the magnesium valve covers. The 1981 Corvette was the first Chevrolet small block to use them, lighter than aluminum. Another few pounds saved. Stainless steel exhaust manifolds replaced the heavy cast iron units from previous years. That saved 14 pounds. Aluminum intake manifolds, aluminum differential housing, fiberglass bumper structures replacing steel. The 1981 Corvette shed weight everywhere engineers could find it. And then there was the computer. The 1981 Corvette introduced the computer command control system to all 50 states. This was the first closed-loop engine management system in a Corvette. An oxygen sensor in the exhaust constantly monitored air-fuel mixture. An electronic control module adjusted ignition timing and carburetor mixture in real time. The system was self-diagnosing. It could identify problems for the service technician. This was revolutionary. Previous Corvettes ran on purely mechanical systems. Set the timing, adjust the carburetor, hope for the best. The 1981 model had a computer making thousands of adjustments per second to optimize performance and emissions simultaneously. The automatic transmission received a lock-up torque converter clutch that engaged in second and third gear. This eliminated the power-wasting slippage that plagued conventional automatics. Better fuel economy, more efficient power transfer. The 1981 model year also marked the end of one era and the beginning of another. For 2 months, Corvettes were built simultaneously in 2 different factories. The old St. Louis plant, which had made Corvettes for 28 years, produced its last car on August 1, 1981. The new Bowling Green, Kentucky plant started production on June 1, 1981. This dedicated facility used modern automated manufacturing and a new base coat clear coat paint system that produced finishes impossible with conventional lacquer. Was the 190 horsepower disappointing? Compared to the 1970 LT1 with 370 horsepower, absolutely. But that comparison misses the point. The 1981 Corvette with a manual transmission could still reach 60 miles per hour in 8.1 seconds. It was the fastest American production car that year. The engineers were not lazy. They were fighting emissions regulations, fuel economy mandates, and insurance company pressure simultaneously. Within those constraints, they found ways to innovate that nobody else was attempting. Chief Engineer David McClellan later explained the philosophy. They evaluated Corvette with the same objectivity used for military aircraft. What is the mission? How well does it accomplish that mission? Horsepower was only one metric among many. The 1981 Corvette was a bridge between eras. The last C3 with a manual transmission. The first Corvette built in Bowling Green. the first with computer engine management for all buyers, the first with a composite spring. History has not been kind to this car. Collectors chase the big block models from the 1960s. Performance fans worship the later C4 and C5 generations. The 1981 sits in between, dismissed as a weak point in the bloodline. That dismissal is unfair. The 1981 Corvette carried innovations that made future generations possible. It deserves more respect than it has ever received. The 1981 Corvette carried innovations that made future generations possible. It deserves more respect than it has ever received. Consider what came next. The 1984 C4. Corvette arrived with a fiberglass transverse leaf spring at the rear, the same technology introduced in 1981. The computer engine management that debuted on the 1981 model evolved into the sophisticated systems that now control every modern vehicle. The weight reduction philosophy pioneered that year became standard practice across the industry. The engineers working on the 1981 Corvette were not building a lesser car. They were building a foundation. They proved that American manufacturers could meet strict emissions and fuel economy standards without abandoning performance entirely. They showed that new materials and electronics could compensate for restrictions on displacement and compression. Today, a clean 1981 Corvette can be purchased for a fraction of what collectors pay for 1960s models. That price gap represents an opportunity. Owners get a genuine piece of automotive history. A car that runs on modern fuel. A car with parts readily available. A car that still turns heads at any show. The enthusiasts who dismiss the 1981 Corvette are looking at the wrong numbers. They see 190 horsepower and stop reading. They miss the 8-pound spring, the magnesium valve covers, the onboard computer, the birth of Bowling Green. The 1981 Corvette was not the end of something great. It was the quiet beginning of everything that followed.